Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the slight technical difficulty. We'd like to warmly welcome all of you to the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability 2025.
To start off with the proceedings, please remain standing for the national anthem.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May we request you to kindly remain standing as we are about to pay the due respect to our traditions and culture. And in order to do so, we'd like to invite the following dignitaries to light the traditional oil lamp. May I most cordially invite our chief guest for today's occasion, Senior Professor P.M.C. Tilakaratne, the Vice-Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Engineer Kamala Gunawardena, Vice President of the Institution of Engineers of Sri Lanka, Professor Wong Yawei, our guest of honor, Director, Office of the Overseas Center for Environmental Science and Technological Cooperation at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Dr. Nobu Wangchuk, Honorable Chief Guest, the Director of South Asia Cooperative Environmental Program, or the SACEP, Dr. Musa Balbaki, Director, Products and Solutions Portfolio, INSI Cement, Vijaypala Sinnathambi, our keynote address speaker, Professor Jagat Manatunga, Conference Chair, Professor Banduni Atapattu, Joint Conference Chair.
Additionally, we would also like to invite the following dignitaries: Dr. L.S.K. Udugama, Dean, Faculty of Engineering Technology, Professor Mahesh Jayavira, our moderator, Professor Shyama Veerakon, Director of the Research Unit, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, Panelist, Dr. Chamila Dias, Program Chair, Engineer S. Himanujan, Conference Secretary, Engineer Zina Veera Bangsa, Conference Secretary, and one participant. As well as Professor Banduni Atapattu, our Conference Chair.
We'd also like to invite Mr. Hemantha, representative of the Hatton National Bank, our platinum sponsor, to join us to light the traditional oil lamp. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasant morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Plastics, and more particularly plastic pollution, has been one of the global issues of immense magnitude that the entire world is struggling to grasp and tackle. From piling up on our landfills to choking our marine and aquatic wildlife, the devastating impacts of plastics is so widespread that just a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, the first discovery of microplastics on the placenta of unborn children were discovered by scientists. So much so is the issue. But is plastics only an issue, or is there an opportunity here? What are the innovative solutions we are seeking, and how do we move towards environmental sustainability in this discourse of plastics? I believe all these questions will be duly answered in the days to come as this conference unfolds. We believe that conferences of this nature are crucial to steer and propel this discourse, to bring about that attitudinal change that is required, and also to drive meaningful change. It is in such a context that this conference is organized for the second time.
And hence, with all that in mind, we welcome you to the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability 2025, organized by the Open University of Sri Lanka in collaboration with the University of Moratuwa, the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, and the Central Environment Authority.
With each step that you take, you shape the life you want to live. Likewise, our actions today will shape the generations to come. From growing challenges of plastic pollution to the promise of groundbreaking innovation, International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability 2025 brings together voices from across countries, disciplines and industries. conference is organized by the Faculty of Engineering Technology of the Open University of Sri Lanka, aiming to drive change with eco-driven ideas, generating real-world impact. From cutting-edge technologies in bioplastics to policy change and community engagement, this isn't just a conference, it is a call to action. The International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability 2025, in collaboration with the University of Morituva, from 24th to 25th September 2025 at the iconic Cinnamon Lakeside Hotel, Colombo. Visit our website for more information. ICPES 2025. Let's innovate our way to a cleaner and smarter future.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability 2025 is currently underway and you're joining with the inauguration ceremony. To move ahead with the ceremonial proceedings, we'd like to invite the following dignitaries to join us on stage at the head table. May I have the pleasure of inviting onto the stage our chief guest for today's occasion, Senior Professor P.M.C. Tilakaratna, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, and our guest of honor, Professor Wang Yawei, Director, Office of the Overseas Center for Environmental Science and Technological Cooperation at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Dr. Nobu Wongshuk, Director, South Asia Cooperative for Environmental Programs, or the SACEP, Dr. Musa Balbake, Director, Products and Solutions Portfolio in Cement, who is also one of our keynote speakers, Vijaypala Sidnathambi, Country Team Leader, UN Office for Project Services, or the UNOPS, who is also one of our keynote speakers, Professor Jagat Manatunga, Joint Conference Chair, and Professor Banduni Atapattu, Joint Conference Chair. May I please invite our dignitaries to join us on the head table.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now, to initiate the proceedings, let me now warmly introduce Professor Banduni Atapattu, the Joint Conference Chair, who will be now giving out her opening remarks. Madam, over to you.
Thank you, Lakshita and Marshani. Very good morning, Vice Chancellor, and all honorable guests, and my dear colleagues, presenters, as well as researchers. And it is with great pride and enthusiasm that welcome you to the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability, ICPES 2025. This conference provides a vital solution for researchers, industry collaborators, industry professionals, policymakers, and innovators to come together and address one of the most pressing global challenge, sustainability in plastics and their environmental impact. Our theme this year, Eco-Driven Innovations, Advancing Plastics, Circular Economy, and Climate Action for a Solution to a Future. This reminds us the urgent need to rethink how we design, use, and manage resources in an increasingly rightward ICPES 2025. ICPES 2025 has called for research across 8 tracks, ranging from plastics, plastic pollution and health impacts, policy and regulatory framework, and AI-driven ecosystem monitoring, to climate action technological innovations, and public awareness. Together, this discussion will open the avenue for collaboration, innovation, and action. This conference also highlights the importance of partnerships across countries, academics, industry, and government in reducing plastic waste, advancing the circular economy, and promoting sustainable development with the support of the University of Maratua and all our sponsors and collaborators in this occasion. We are committed to ensuring that the insights shared here translate into meaningful research, innovation, and policy impact. I wish to sincerely thank to the organizing committee, our keynote speakers, session chairs, and all participants to their invaluable contribution to come this as great success. Next 2 days, you will inspire many things, new ideas, strengthen relationships, networks, and also pave the way to your future. For a more sustainable and resilient future, we are expect once you complete this session. And I wish you all a productive and rewarding experience and the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Banduni Atapattu, for delivering the opening remarks and also for your leadership in ensuring that this international conference saw the light of the day. At the same time, let me take this opportunity to most cordially invite our joint conference chairperson, Professor Jagat Manatunga, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Very good morning. Professor PMC Tilakaratna, Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka. Dr. Udugama, Dean, Faculty of Engineering Technology. Ms. Vindhya Jayasena, Registrar, Open University of Sri Lanka. Professor Wang Yawei, Guest of Honor of this occasion. Dr. Nobu Wangchuk, Guest of Honor of this conference. Distinguished keynote speakers, my dear esteemed colleagues, partners, fellow researchers, students, and friends. It's with deep respect and gratitude that I stand here to welcome you to the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations, and Environmental Sustainability, ICPES 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet at a decisive moment in history. Plastics, once celebrated as a symbol of human ingenuity, now stand at the center of the greatest environmental challenge of our time. Plastics have revolutionized industry, medicine, daily lives. Yet, their mismanagement has left a legacy of pollution stretching across our oceans, soils, even the air we breathe, and the water that we drink. This paradox, innovation entangled with harm, it compels us to ask, how do we reimagine progress so that it serves not only just human convenience, but planetary well-being? That question, the paradox, lies at the heart of our theme. Eco-driven innovations, advancing plastics, circular economy, and climate action for a sustainable future. It is a call not for incremental fixes, but for transformative change. The circular economy, it teaches us that nothing in nature is wasted. If ecosystems can turn every output into a resource, then so must we. Eco-driven innovations mean designing materials and systems where plastics are reused, repurposed, and reimagined. No longer a burden, but we need to realize that plastics is a resource. But the plastic crisis cannot be separated from the climate crisis. From fossil fuel extraction to production and disposal of plastics, they contribute to emissions. Addressing one strengthens the other. When we reduce plastic waste, we reduce carbon emissions. When we transition to renewables, we tackle both climate change and pollution together. Here at this conference, ICPES, this event is more than a conference. It is a platform of possibilities, infinite possibilities. Over these 2 days, today and tomorrow, we will share research, challenge assumptions, and forge collaborations that will definitely bridge disciplines and sectors. The true success of this gathering will not be measured by the number of papers that we present, the themes that we discuss here, but by the partnerships and the will that we inculcate in our minds and the actions that we follow thereafter. Allow me to acknowledge with gratitude our keynote and plenary speakers while welcoming them, the scientific and technical committees, the reviewers, sponsors, and above all, the authors, participants, and our sponsors. On behalf of the organizing committee, I warmly welcome you all. Your dedication gives this conference its strength and the very meaning that we meet here today, this morning. My dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, in the face of global crisis, it is easy to feel powerless, but history reminds us that human creativity shines brightest in times of challenge when people come together. The diversity of voices in this gathering, scientists, researchers, students, policymakers, industry partners, and professionals, is a proof that we are not powerless. We are resourceful, and we have united in purpose. So let us use this moment not just to exchange ideas, but to commit ourselves to action. If we succeed, future generations will look back on this gathering, the conference ICPES 2025, as turning points, moments where knowledge became action and resolve became results. With that spirit, I warmly welcome you all to ICPES 2025, the second conference that we are organizing. May this be a conference of insight, inspiration, and lasting impact. Thank you, and very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you.
True, sir. The legacy of plastic mismanagement needs to stop now, and we thank individuals such as yourselves for being the forerunners for bringing this issue to the front light. Thank you, Professor Jagat Manatunga. And now I would like to cordially invite for his insights Senior Professor P.M.C. Tilakaratne, Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka. Sir, the podium is yours.
Thank you. So very good morning to every one of you. Professor Banduni Atapattu and Professor Jagat Manatunga, Joint Conference Chairs, Dr. L.S.K. Udugama, Dean Faculty of Engineering Technology, and all Deans of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Registrar, Baza, Heads of the Departments, Professors, all academics, and here we have Vice President of the Institute of Engineers of Sri Lanka, and Professor Wang Yav, Dr. Nobu Wangchuk, Dr. Musa Balbaki and Dr. S. Vijaypala and all directors of the Open University Sri Lanka, administrative officers, non-academic staff, paper presenters today, panelists, all other distinguished invitees. It is with great pleasure and pride as well that I address you at this inauguration ceremony of the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability, hosted by the Faculty of Engineering Technology, the Open University of Sri Lanka, in collaboration with the University of Moratuwa and Central Environmental Authority as well. Your presence today highlights the growing importance of collaborative dialogue and action to tackle one of the most pressing challenges of our time, that is, the complex relationship between plastics and the environment. Plastics have become inseparable from our modern life. They are versatile, they are durable, and they are economically significant. Yet these very qualities have created unprecedented environmental concerns, from marine pollution to microplastics entering to our food chain. The challenge before us is not merely to reduce plastic use, we are using it, but to rethink and redesign how we produce, consume, and repurpose plastics in ways that safeguard ecosystems and support sustainable development. This conference focus, especially on innovation, is particularly timely because we need creative solutions that move us beyond traditional waste management toward circular economy models. Advanced biodegradable materials and intelligent product design. We all that engineers are into the intelligent product designs. Such innovations demand not only scientific research and technological ingenuity, but also policy foresight, industry collaboration like today, and community engagement. I strongly believe that the papers presented here will address these three interrelated areas, that is plastics, innovation and sustainability, ultimately leading to valuable policy directions in Sri Lanka and world. As a national university, the Open University of Sri Lanka, committed to lifelong learning and open access, the Open University of Sri Lanka has a special responsibility to drive this transformation. Through our research, outreach, and academic programs, we aim to equip the next generation with the knowledge, critical thinking, and ethical awareness needed to protect our planet while advancing human progress. I am deeply grateful to the Faculty of Engineering Technology for their dedication to organizing this conference in this scale, and to the many local and international partners whose expertise enriches these discussions today and tomorrow. I offer special appreciation to Professor Banduni Athapattu, whose foresight in proposing this vital topic last year in 2024 made it possible to host this international conference on plastics and environmental sustainability in the second consecutive year on this scale. Your collective efforts delineates the spirit of shared responsibility that global sustainability demands. Let us use these 2 days not only to share whatever the data that you have collected for your own research and debate your ideas, but also to forge practical pathways, action plans, collaborations, and innovations that can be implemented beyond these, that walls. Together, we can ensure that plastics, once a symbol of convenience and waste. I do remember in our school time, in 1980s, even cellophane bag we collected and brought back to home, because we welcome plastics as that easy to use, and that whenever that we are going to the whatever the no supermarkets at that time, to the simple boutique, used to that bring what is known as pammal, or that cane kuda, now totally change the environment. So therefore, we all now responsible, and that is an example of responsibility, stewardship, and human ingenuity to protect this environment. So therefore, today we have keynote speakers. I'm not the expert to, of course, discuss about this all circular economy, plastic waste, reuse, and environmental protection. Expertise are all here. So therefore, on behalf of the Open Issue Sri Lanka, I wish all participants a productive and inspiring conference today and tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, sir, for your insights and your valuable presence here today, as well as for the constant guidance, encouragement, and motivation. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this moment to invite a very special individual to deliver the next address. It is my pleasure and privilege to invite Dr. Nobu Wangchuk, who is the Director of the South Asia Cooperative Environment Program, or the SACEP, a regional intergovernmental organization dedicated to addressing environmental challenges across South Asia. If I am to give a very brief description to Dr. Nobu and his work, in his recent appointment to this prestigious leadership role, he has demonstrated a strong commitment to fostering regional cooperation and tackling the pressing environmental issues facing the South Asian region. As director, Dr. Wangchuk leads SACEP's efforts in addressing what has been termed as the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. His leadership focuses on strengthening collaborative initiatives among SACEP's member countries to develop effective solutions for transboundary environmental challenges that require coordinated approaches. Dr. Wangchuk has emphasized the importance of greater ownership of SACEP by its member countries and actively encourages participation in the organization's initiatives. Under his guidance, SACEP continues to implement significant projects such as the Please Project in Nepal and other regional environmental programs that aim to create meaningful impact across South Asia. His vision for SACEP involves elevating the organization to new heights through enhanced regional collaboration and collective action. Dr. Wangchuk's approach to environmental leadership emphasizes the critical need for member countries to work together in addressing the most pressing concerns of environmental challenges. Let me once again take this opportunity to most cordially invite Dr. Nobu Wangchuk to address all of us.
Honorable Chief Guests, other esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm greetings and good morning. I come from a very small country high up in the Himalayas. It's called Bhutan. Some of the people who knows Bhutan know of it as a happy country. I'm not sure about it. Some other people know of Bhutan as carbon neutral country. And in fact, Bhutan is one of the world's only carbon negative country. But what most do not know is that Bhutan worships mountains. Because like Sri Lanka is surrounded by oceans, Bhutan is filled with mountains. And the mountains are considered as very sacred homes of our gods. And some of the mountains are so sacred that the government has banned people from entering into the mountain. So therefore, while Nepal has the highest mountain, Everest, Bhutan has the highest unclimbed mountain in the world called Gangkhar Pinsum. What would be surprising to you to know is that besides the mountains, Bhutan worships something else, and that is oceans. And it's surprising because many Bhutanese have never seen an ocean, because the nearest ocean is some 800 kilometers away from the nearest border of Bhutan. But oceans feature in our songs, romantic songs. Oceans feature in our religious transcripts, religious texts. We regard oceans as home of the gods. So naturally for me, when I came to Sri Lanka 1 year back, the first place where I go to offer my prayers is the port city, the oceans. Looking at the waves, I offered my prayers to the oceans, the home of gods. Today I feel lucky that I get to see the ocean every weekend. My work takes me to oceans of South Asia, oceans of India, oceans of Pakistan, Maldives, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, of course. And what I have come to learn is that our oceans are not doing great. The home of the gods are in serious trouble. And that, as a Buddhist, as somebody who respects and reveres oceans, it's a personal relationship for me with the oceans. Some of the diseases that our oceans are faced with, challenged today, a whole lot of problems. Upsurge of storms, the ocean acidification, rising sea level, coastal erosion, loss of aquatic biodiversity, invasive species, death of coral reefs, oil and chemical spills that we experienced in the Sri Lankan Ocean recently, depletion of aquatic resources, and not the least of all, plastic pollution are some of the challenges that our oceans face. And in fact, statistics tells us that every minute, a huge truckload of plastic waste flows into our oceans. So imagine daily, day to day, month to month, year to year, the kind of garbage that goes into the abode of the gods. And in our own South Asian region, the Brahmaputra, Ganges, Meghna river basin, which is the biggest river basin in our region, and the Indus river basin, these two river basins have become like trains carrying plastic and waste material, dumping into our oceans and seas. So these are very serious challenges that we are facing. Of course, the challenges that we are facing are enormous, but I am encouraged and feel optimistic that we can address these challenges. My optimism really stems from initiatives, enthusiasm, energy of initiatives such as the conference like this. And importantly, when I come across youth, whether it is in Sri Lanka, whether it is in Bangladesh, Maldives, Bhutan, Nepal, India, Pakistan, the youth are angry with the kind of world that they are inheriting. Our responsibility as senior citizens is to channel that anger for them into something positive and productive. And I see this happening. Most of the innovations, the innovation that you would be talking about today and tomorrow, would come from youth, if I am not mistaken. Youth are synonymous to innovations, and that gives us this hope, this optimism. I am in Sri Lanka now, your country, for 1 year. As a Buddhist, I envy Sri Lanka. Of course, Bhutan is a Buddhist country like Sri Lanka. But I think Lord Buddha had one favorite country, and that was not Bhutan, that was Sri Lanka. Because Buddha visited Sri Lanka 3 times, and he did not visit Bhutan even once. And in my 1 year, I see the blessings of the Buddha all around in Sri Lanka. I mean, look at the assets, look at the wealth that you have. Firstly, 1,700 coastline with some of the finest beaches in the world. Buddha's blessings to you. 200 nautical miles into the high seas, sovereign right for Sri Lanka, for all the resources and explorations and researches that are possible for Sri Lanka. Come inside. Mineral deposits, island of the gem, sapphire, rubies are some of the precious gems that the world looks up to. Your graphite deposit, 95% purity. Population of Sri Lanka, not too many, like perhaps some other countries in billions. Not too few, like Maldives and Bhutan. Just right, 22 million. And mangoes, pineapple, all throughout. This is something very, very surprising for me. We hardly get to eat mangoes and pineapple. But this has become my favorite, and in fact, I'm becoming addicted to this fruit, and this is available all throughout the year. And that can happen in a place called Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is on the way to become the pearl of Indian Ocean. The vision that you have, beautiful island, smiling people, is truly on its way. And why not? It is only logical that 3 days ago in Cinnamon Life, I think the president of the present government announced Sri Lanka's ambition to become the innovation hub of South Asia. And rightfully, I think this place belongs to Sri Lanka. And in many ways, 3 days after we are organizing this conference again on innovation, I think it is very well aligned to the vision that has been recently announced. So for Sri Lanka, climate challenges, plastic pollution should not be allowed to destroy all these opportunities that are within our grasp. If there is one obstruction to these abundant opportunities that are available to Sri Lanka, that would be the environmental challenges, crisis that you can get into, including the plastic pollution. The organization where I serve, South Asia Cooperative Environment Program, we are honored to have made our humble contribution in the fight against plastic pollution in Sri Lanka. Through what is called the PLEASE project, we have established 16 material recovery facilities in the country. We set up 2 state-of-the-art plastic recycling facilities in Melania and Malwana. We installed 50 trash barriers or interceptors in Sri Lanka. We established 1 GP-certified laboratory for plastic testing at Homagama. We put in place 10 trash-to-cash vending machines, organized 300 cleaning campaigns, supported the study of 11 rivers of Sri Lanka in preparation for a national master plan. Bhutan, my own country, is today the only country in the world that's carbon negative. It emits 2 million tons of carbon annually, but it sequesters, it absorbs 7 million metric tons of carbon annually. So there is a surplus that benefits the whole world annually of 5 million metric tons. And this has not come about by accident in Bhutan. This has come about through good leadership. Leadership that is willing to take bold, courageous decisions for the sustainability into the future. Sometimes, often taking unpopular decisions. Sometimes sacrificing the little comforts of the present for the greater good of the future. I believe that with the right leadership at all levels, and I don't mean leadership at the government politician level only, it is the leadership like you have shown today, leadership in the universities, leadership in the private sector businesses, leadership in civil societies, and leadership amongst the youth. And I see this gaining momentum. And with this leadership, we can overcome the triple planetary crisis: climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. Clean Sri Lanka initiative, an initiative again where we had been able to humbly support in a small way, is launched by the present government and is a welcome initiative and a commitment by the Honorable President of Sri Lanka. This is an opportunity for all the leaders to rally behind this Clean Sri Lanka initiative to leave a lasting impact. Leaders of business, leaders of universities, leaders of civil societies, and youth leadership must show up to engage in making Sri Lanka clean. And the leaders are all present here today. It is a delight for me to participate in this important conference, and I wish all of you a productive discussion and concrete solutions by the end of this conference. Thank you very much.
Dr. Nobu, the words that you said resonated with me as a Sri Lankan because I don't think we appreciate our country, the beauty of our country, as much as we ought to be honest. And thank you for opening our eyes in that manner. As our honorary chief guest, we would like to present you with a token of appreciation. And for that, I would like to invite Joint Conference Chairs, Professor Banduni Atapattu and Professor Jagat Manatunga, and the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratna. Thank you, dear sirs and madam. And now to continue with the program and representing the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, I would like to cordially call upon Vice President Engineer Kamala Gunawardana to share her insights with us.
Good morning. Professor Tilakaratna, Chief Guest of the event, and other distinguished head table officers, Professor Jagat Manatunga and Professor Banduni Atapattu, co-chairs of the event, all the speakers, invitees, and participants. At my outset, I thank for the opportunity given to the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka for our president to deliver a speech. As I understood, this morning our president, Engineer Rani R. Jayalat, with his commitment with some other event, some other urgent attention that he has to give in the ISL matters, he had to keep this event away, and he is actually attending a very important event now at this moment. So I happen to do this speech on behalf of our president and the ISL, and I thank Professor Banduni again for the opportunity that I am given and standing before you. And actually, I consider it as a privilege that I got this morning. Being a vice president of the ISL, that I am chairing the Library Publications, Publicity and Conferences Committee, and of course, Professor Manatunga, he's in this table, and Professor Banduni Atapattu, they are some key pillars of our LPPC committee. This is the short form of Library Publications and Publicity. So I, of course, very recently, September 2nd, I can remember the date very well, as the chair of the LPPC committee, I organized annual research symposium, which is connected with the annual ISL annual events. That also the leadership is given by Professor Manatunga. So it was a great privilege for me to be in this team. And we managed this research symposium. It was very successful. And I know how much an effort and how much you have to work on to make any event like this symposium. So I can see the participants and the event now has started, and now we all are in it, and we all are taking the results out of it. So I hope this event, Professor Bandini, now we all are at the delivery stage, and I can see the happy faces because I know how much effort you have put onto this. So, and this, of course, this second international conference, and the topic is very much timely, and as citizens of this small country, and as our just previous speaker, Professor, highlighted how much effort that we have to put onto this, come out of this challenge. Of course, being Sri Lankan, and we are surrounded with this water and the oceans, so how much lucky that all of us as Sri Lankans, actually, I understood how much we should give the priority and our concerns, our insights to being Sri Lankan and being in a small country, but surrounded with water, not the trees, of course, yes, good, but I think it's a privilege. So with that, I think, I will not go much, and I hope you all are witnessing today's event successfully, And let me congratulate all the organizers and the presenters. And it will go until even one more day, tomorrow. So still, we have a lot of challenges to come across. But I hope with your dedication and with your leadership, you all will be able to take this event a successful ending. So, hoping to meet you all in another similar energetic conference coming in the coming years as well. And I hope we can attend and witness a successful one with your guidance. So I think I will not take much of your time. And once again, I thank for the opportunity given. And I congratulate again, once again, and hope this event will go in a very successful manner. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Madam Engineer Kamala Gunawardena, for representing the Institution of Engineers of Sri Lanka and for addressing this gathering. And we'd also like to take a moment to thank Engineer Granny Jala, the President of the Institution of Engineers of Sri Lanka, for his assistance in making sure that this conference became a reality. So thank you very much once again, Madam. Let me take this opportunity to now most cordially invite our guest of honor to address this gathering, Professor Wong Yawei, Director of the Office of Overseas Center for Environmental Science and Technology Cooperation, Chinese Academy of Sciences. Professor Yawei obtained his PhD from the Research Center for Eco-Environmental Sciences, Chinese Academy of Sciences, and I believe I will give a very brief introduction to him after he delivers his address. Professor Yawei, over to you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, respected Chief Guest, Vice Chancellor, and the colleagues from the University of Open University and the University of Moldova, and other my distinguished guests. I'm very honored to be here to make some introduction of our collaboration history and to introduce our future work to share some information with you. Firstly, I will show the cordially appreciation to all of you. Second, I will introduce my thinking and our institution plan in the next phase in Sri Lanka. So I'm sorry, I should not provide slide but I think it's better to share more information by the means of the slide. Okay. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. Thus is I stay in Sri Lanka for 6 years, and I view some information in some environment problems. This is the Kalani River, about some plastic lies in the river. So the plastic bring great convenience to the human society and pose some threats to our modern life. So from microplastic river and ocean to mountain waste all over cities and urgent to be cleaned up. Here, this is the dumping site. Another is some place I shared with some plastic. Now, the common way to get the burning incineration. So, the theme of this conference, the eco-driven innovation, remind us that science, technology, and project collaboration are key change. And I would share some story about CKDU, maybe 10 or 20 years ago. All of us may be familiar with the topic. And we, from the China side, get the information or request. And we sign MOU with both countries' president to start the country-to-country, government-to-government collaboration. And from the CAS, I came from CAS. I'm the coordinator of CAS in Sri Lanka. So CAS is a ministry and the biggest research body all over the world, and top for publication in the Nature Index continuously for 12 years. And we have good science facility for basic or infrastructures. And we also do the research all over for the environmental water technologies. For the cooperation history of Sri Lanka about the science and technology, we know the request from Sri Lanka and raise the idea to solve the CKDU-related issues. And in the 10 years ago, we prepared some MOU and start to establish the GRDC, the Joint Research and Demonstration Center for Water Technology. We started from the collaboration, for example, the capacity building for Sri Lanka and the research. We provide the new building in University of Pennsylvania and some advanced equipment to enhance the study or testing ability for trace or emerging pollutant in Sri Lanka. And we also carry out the joint research collaboration with Sri Lanka colleges. We focus on 3 topics about a CKDU case study, water treatment, and the water resource. Here we sampling in the CKDU area make clear of the water quality issue related to the CKDU and do the animal test and microbiology test to prove some related, maybe the high chloride, 5 fluoride, maybe potential highly risk factor related to CKD problems. And we also provide some technology and treatment project to change the water to try to solve the problems. And it works. And now we started second phase collaboration with the Department of National Community Water Supply in the most area in Sri Lanka as a rural water supply. And we also do some water resource and remote sensing for Sri Lanka, provide some basic information for study of a professor for research. And besides the research capacity, we focus on the human capacity building. For example, with the collaborator, we have posted 120 more joint publication in international journals. And we have invited some senior or research or professor to China to conduct joint research and visit China. We also recruit more than 40 students to get the degree, like a master or PhD. We also propose some training class for the CKDU related, like neurology, like doctor, like nurse, like a technician, to get a training in Beijing for older, even for the water professionals, and change the Sri Lanka, the science, make them better. And we also submit some policy suggestions to government to deal with the CKDU issues and get a reward from the China side and the Sri Lanka side. And we have lots of communication with the Sri Lanka embassy in Beijing. And besides this, our next phase started maybe multilateral cooperation targets with the ICPES, together with local Sri Lanka collaborator, like a government, like a research institute, like a university. And our next phase, maybe next 5 years, we have proposed 4-pillar research task I want to share with you. Firstly, we want to build more sweet water drinking station, like the drinking water station and the filtration with better quality drinking water and with solar panel energy with common service to make popular and with some business value to be built in more area, maybe 500, maybe 1,000 drinking water station. And this could be reduced, ensure the drinking water safety. If people reduce drinking the bottled water, that would be better to relieve the pressure for plastic. Second is about the colonial river protection. We want to do some more survey and some modeling to assist the CEA or other government-related issue to make a better of the colonial river management, like including we will focus some emerging pollutants, including some microplastic and new chemical compounds. A third project is air pollution monitoring, because the trash, the incineration will cause some severe air pollution problems. So we maybe build some monitoring of air pollution network of Sri Lanka to building for management of the the car emission and the dumping and the incineration. Last is about the circular income combination. For we will want to start some the eco-industrial park standard for Sri Lanka. Maybe have some practical projects. One important thing is for the industrial project, we introduce some of the incineration facilities that could be reduced industrial waste and generate energy like electricity and steam. For example, to treat the most part of plastic issues. So our experience demonstrates that international cooperation can turn challenge to opportunity and practice and project. So by combining the China technology expertise with Sri Lanka's local needs for wisdom and experts support and assistance to us, we have a concrete solution that is practical, inclusive, and impactful. So we look ahead, we hope to expand the collaboration with a partner across the Indian country, especially for Sri Lanka. Sorry. And for the plastic waste, marine pollution, and climate resilience together. So finally, I wish the ICPES about 2024 course were great success. And we, from the collaboration with us from different level, like a country to country, government to government, institution to institute, or personal to personal. Maybe if we can have the better collaboration on Clean Sri Lanka, and we have a better shared future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Wong Yawei, for addressing this gathering and for sharing his valuable insights. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty to very briefly introduce to you Professor Wong Yawei, who is the Director of the Office of Overseas Center for Environmental Sciences and Technology Cooperation, Chinese Academy of Sciences. Professor Yawei obtained his PhD from the Research Center for Eco-Environmental Sciences, Chinese Academy of Sciences in 2009, and his work focuses on research and application in pollution source treatment and integrated river basin management. He has led and participated in numerous national science and technology projects, including projects under the National Natural Science Foundation of China and major national special initiatives, as well as regional application projects. He has published over 50 academic papers and holds 5 authorized invention patents. He coordinates and implements the Intergovernmental Cooperation Project, as you may already have seen, the China-Sri Lanka Joint Research and Demonstration Center for Water Technology, which fosters international scientific collaboration and technology transfer. So we'd like to once again take this moment to thank Professor Wong Yawei for his presence and for his insights.
Ladies and gentlemen, we believe it's now time for a change of pace and for your eyes to feast upon something. We have a cultural dance ready to go. Over to you, ladies.
Bhedbhav
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May we please give another round of applause for that splendid performance. Thank you very much for that cultural display, which of course is a significant pillar of the unique identity of Sri Lanka. So thank you very much once again to all the performers. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to direct your attention to this LED screen behind me, as we are going to do what we call to take you a trip down the memory lane to the very first international conference on plastics, innovation, and environmental sustainability. Enjoy.
Although what you see here today is a massive event, it started quite some time ago, somewhere in May, to be honest, and they've been collecting papers from scientists alike, and they've been collecting it, around 80 papers, to be in fact, and collecting it and putting it into proceedings of sorts. And they're going to launch it today so that every one of us can read it, understand it, learn more about it. And to launch these proceedings, I would now like to invite our chief guests, Professor Wang Yawei and Dr. Nobu Wangchuk, as well as the Vice Chancellor of the Open University, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, so that you can launch the proceedings to go out into the world.
Thank you very much to our distinguished invitees for joining with the launching of the proceedings of the second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Environmental Sustainability 2025. We've also informed that the organizers will make available a QR code for you to scan and download an e-copy of these proceedings, which, as Malshani already told, will contain the abstracts, the papers, and all other proceedings related to this year's conference. So we invite you to get in touch with the organizers after this inauguration ceremony to obtain the QR code and to download your own copy of the proceedings of this year's conference.
Before moving further, we would like to hand over tokens of appreciation to a set of special individuals. First, we would like to hand it over to the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, and this honor will be taken on by the Joint Conference Chairs, Professor Banduni Atapattu and Professor Jagat Manatunga.
We now invite Professor Wang Yawei to receive a token of appreciation presented on behalf of the organizing committee. May I respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, to join the presenting party and for the conference joint chairpersons to give away the token of appreciation to Professor Wang Yahweh. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
We now move on to the keynote addresses of the conference. First, we would like to cordially invite Dr. Musa Balbaki, Director, Products and Solutions Portfolio of INSEE Cement, to deliver the keynote address. Let me first quickly tell you a little about how important and significant this person is. Dr. Musa Balbaki is a distinguished cement and concrete technology expert with over 3 decades of international experience, spanning Canada, Switzerland, and Sri Lanka. He earned his PhD in civil engineering from Canada, specializing in cement superplasticizer interactions and their impact on concrete properties. Dr. Balbaki has held senior leadership positions at major industry players, including a 12-year tenure with the Holcim Group, where he progressed from project engineer to head of advanced concrete innovation, managing teams of senior experts and coordinating global innovation initiatives. His expertise encompasses high-performance and ultra-high-performance concrete development, sustainable concrete solutions, and alkali activated binders. Currently serving as the Head of Products and Solutions Portfolio at Siam City Cement Lanka Limited since 2018, Dr. Balbaki also operates as an independent advisor through BMO Consulting. His career has been marked by developing innovative concrete technologies, leading technical training programs, and consulting on value-added solutions for cement, concrete, and aggregate applications across multiple continents. Dr. Balbaki's unique combination of academic rigor, industry leadership, and global perspective has established him as a recognized authority in advancing concrete technology and sustainable construction material. After that very significant, very impressionable introduction, I'm sure we are all waiting eagerly to listen to him. Over to you, sir.
Okay, first, good morning, everyone. Professor Atapatu, Professor Manatunge, Professor Tilak Karantni, Professor Wang, Professor Norbu, Dr. Norbu, ladies and gentlemen, first I'm really happy to be today here. I will talk about a topic a material that built our dream house, that built our bridges, our school, our universities, hospital. This is a very somehow, let's say, after water is the most consumed human being material. But at the same time, I will show you that this material has also creating some challenges for our environment, as it is the 3rd largest CO2 emitter after fossil fuel and land use. I have some slides to present you. I will really start with the context, because starting from, let's say, where are our challenges today, what are our implications, from the implication how to move to some solution. Therefore, for that, I will give you an overview about the cement and concrete sustainability roadmap, because the Global Cement and Concrete Association has put somehow some important milestone for 2035 and 2050 toward net zero carbon concrete objective. Now, you see, this is Shanghai 30 years ago. right? That's how it looks like. And 30 years later, that is Shanghai. Only 30 years, right? It's also the same for Sri Lanka. That is Sri Lanka, somehow 3 years back, Port City project. And that is Sri Lanka probably in 30, 40 years, because soon you will start to see building coming out of this port city. Right? This means that somehow it has some implication when we look after challenges regarding the footprint of the cities, right? Now, to build this, of course, we need first a very important ingredient called cement, because out of cement we produce concrete. And out of concrete we produce what I have said, our school, our house, bridges, whatever, right? And for a civil engineer like me, today we know that we do not have engineered material that can be designed for over 100 years, that weigh 2.5 tons per cubic meter, and that costs less than $100. There is no alternative today to concrete, right? Therefore, we need to keep using this material, but we need to also use it in a way that we include innovation to improve its footprint. Now, if you look to this graph, you see that with a population today of 8 billion, we have consumed last year around 4 billion tons of cement. This is a fact. Huh? This we cannot change it. Now, if you look, when I was born in 1960, the global population was around 1.5 billion. And 64, 65 years, I'm turning 65 next year, population turned to 8 billion, right? And when we look the cement consumption, when I was born, the global cement consumption was 270 kilograms per capita. Today, we are double. We are at 500 half ton per capita, right? Even though we have crises, whatever we can call, countries need to develop. You agree with me? But what important is, where do we stand in Sri Lanka? You see, Sri Lanka 2024, we are only at 200 kilograms per capita. What does that mean? That means there is a huge opportunity to build this country, right? But what is important is to build it with the latest technology in order to grow in a sustainable way, right? You agree with me? When I have an iPhone, it can be an iPhone 6, 7, 8, 9 technology, is fine. But today, we have iPhone 14, iPhone 16, 17. We need to update, right? And that's what I want to say. As a civil engineer, what I have learned at school just make me a civil engineer, right? Doesn't mean that I can just take what I have learned and continue to do the same things over years. Right? That is really important for us. That's why we need to be today fit in order to grow in a very sustainable way. That is really important. And when we talk about cement, you see, for every ton of cement we produce, we are emitting equivalent of 1 ton of CO2, right? Between 0.8 to 1 ton, depending to the process technology we are using. Therefore, when we talk about 4 billion tons of cement, this is equivalent to 3.5 billion to 4 billion tons of CO2, right? That make our industry contributing to almost 7 to 8% of the CO2, global CO2 emission. Therefore, huge impact on climate change, right? Yes, but at the same time, we, in Sri Lanka, we have signed the Paris Agreement. I mean, you all know that. We have signed the Paris. Therefore, we have some responsibility. Therefore, what I say to my colleague is not a choice anymore, right? It's really not a choice. It's an obligation to really respect this agreement, because this will make Sri Lanka fit for today and grow in a sustainable way for tomorrow. That is important. Therefore, that's why several countries, they have already adopted a strict policy for greenhouse gas emission reduction. Therefore, saying that if I come to the Paris Agreement, there is a very important milestone, is a 2035. This 2030, 2035, we need to reduce to 65% our total global emission, right? If we don't do so, we are not able anymore to meet the 1.5 to 2 degree warming threshold. That's why we have to focus immediately, but really immediately, on embodied carbon CO2. That is important, that whatever we do, for example, whenever I decide to build my house, already I need to understand that I'm going to lock in my house embedded CO2 depending to the choice of material I'm going to use. I'm not talking about operational CO2. This is what I'm really embedded already from the beginning. This is my decision. If tomorrow the countries start to develop renewable energy, it's great. That will help my operational CO2. But today is my choice, right, to decide if I want to have high CO2 footprint cement or concrete or low CO2 footprint cement or concrete, right? That's why we need to be very innovative to develop a greener product, right? Think about circularity. When I say circularity is when we create, for the end of life of any material, when we create value. If we do not create value, we are just managing the circularity, but we don't create value. We have to create value, right? That is really important. There is also the carbon capture, use, and sequestration. I will not talk too much about it for the time that is allowed to me, but I will show you some example about how we, in Sri Lanka, are able to substitute about 40% of the fossil fuel with alternative, energy. Now, this is about some, let's say, it's a context. Now, what happened for the environment? I just give you an example from the country where I'm living today, Switzerland, right? If you look Switzerland, between June and July 2019, right? You know, Switzerland has a lot of mountain, a lot of glacier. We have lost almost 800 million tons of ice and snow, right? If I just, from from the scale, you see Eiffel Tower, Paris, and what that means. That is tremendous for a country like Switzerland. Even though 2 months ago, a full village in Blatten, okay, was covered by falling rocks and snow. This is estimated 3 to 5 million tons. And that village has disappeared from the map. Okay, and there is a lot of villages in the valleys. If you go to Switzerland, we have valleys between Alps. And today, they are estimating about 50% of those villages will disappear the next 10 years, right? If you take country like Norway, like Sweden, they have lost in 2024 over more than 10 glaciers. They have disappeared, no more glacier. Therefore, climate change has a huge impact on people. And that's why we have to take it into consideration. And this issue of CO2 is not only European, because very often we gave the example of it. It's go really global. It's go really global. I understand today we at INSEE, we don't get any incentive for any good homework we do to improve our CO2 footprint. But do you agree all with me that to get fit is not enough to buy a membership of a good fitness, let's say, space, right? We need to train. We need to start to train to be fit tomorrow. You agree with me? And to train our people is a mindset change. Therefore, we need to start, right? Like when I go to Cargill's or when I go to any supermarket in Sri Lanka to buy my beautiful banana or my beautiful pineapple, I really don't take a plastic bag. I swear, I don't take plastic bag. Because I'm going there to get the fruit. I'm not going there to get the plastic bag, right? Therefore, I don't need incentive for that, right? That's why I always say to my colleague, when I wake up in the morning, I don't say what Sri Lanka will give me. I will never ask this question. I will always ask one question to myself, what I will do for Sri Lanka is the same question, exactly the same question. And that's what we have to take into consideration. Therefore, we need to act. And we need to act really urgently, right? Even though from the profit point of view, economy, right? Look this graph. This is the European trading system. We are trading CO2 around 70 euro. This is almost 75 to 80 US dollars. And I will show you the impact that will have on us in terms of opportunity. Therefore, whenever we import, we have consequence. When I talk about as concrete or cement, whenever we bring something out of Sri Lanka, this is a consequence to us. Therefore, we need to think locally, we need to produce locally, and we need to produce close to our market. Right? That is really important to us. Therefore, we need to press the button of innovation. Really, as I said, it's urgent that we press this button, okay, to focus on this, what I call the embedded carbon footprint. Therefore, there are critical steps to this net zero. I will talk about some of them, and I will show you what we are doing in Sri Lanka, because this is a practical case that you can see. Therefore, it's very important to reduce first our emission, as I said before, 25 to 30% by 2030. 2040 to deploy what we call carbon capture and sequestration. We have already started at our ready-mix plant in Nugegoda with carbon cure, how we can take CO2 that we emit at our cement plant and sequestrate it in our concrete, right? And by 2050, really to go to deliver net zero concrete by using all the different action that can be done, okay, to fulfill this requirement. For example, when I come to the CO2 that you are emitting, you remember when I say 1 ton of cement is 1 ton of CO2. Therefore, more I reduce the clinker that is emitting the CO2 in my cement, I can reduce my footprint. Okay, that shows you a clear example. For example, in our cement plant in Putlam, we produce around 1.2 million tons of cement. Therefore, by cutting the clinker factor from 80 to today's 68, we have saved about 270 million kilograms of CO2, right? Keep this in mind. This is 250,000 tons of CO2. The same when it comes to benchmark. Sri Lanka in red, this is what the European, with all the subvention they got, million, trillion to improve the industry. Look in Sri Lanka how we are good today. We are almost we can benchmark, INSEE can benchmark with European. Now, if it comes to the fueling, we fuel our kiln, therefore we need to import, let's say, coal from Ukraine, from South Africa, from Malaysia, whatever. Therefore, we are able now to replace this with alternative fuel up to 45%. This means is another saving about 100 million. Therefore, if I take the 250 million and this 100 million, this makes 350 million, right? This is 350,000 tons of CO2. Today, INSEE, I am proud to say that, we are looking to trade this CO2. Therefore, we can get between $10 and $20. Now, we are working with a consultant, South Pole Consulting in Switzerland. Therefore, we can bring to the country, thanks to this, let's say, effort we are doing, at 10 to 20, this means about 3.5 to 7 million USD back to Sri Lanka. That's an incentive now to us. That's what I want to say, that really it's important that we really take it very urgently. Now, this is European level. As I said, in Sri Lanka, we are at around 40%, right? In Europe, they are at 50%. Therefore, we are very, very close. Now, carbon rating, you see, when you buy a fridge, when you buy air conditioner, any electrical, you have this kind of like energy label, A, B, C, D, whatever, right? Now, this is coming for cement and for concrete. Therefore, you as consumer, you can decide to buy either a really, let's say, clean cement or clean concrete, grade AA, or a very high embedded CO2 that will be a grade G. Right? That's really launched by the Global Cement and Concrete Association, and that will support designers for procurement, for, I say, enable fair comparison when we are taking the decision. Now, this is an example, as you can see on the right side, the different rating from A to G. And I want just to show you where we are in Sri Lanka compared to Germany. Right? When I compare our numbers and the number in Germany, and I plug it in this graph, in Sri Lanka we are, at almost at the D. D meaning we are emitting between 400 to 500 kg of CO2. You remember the 1 ton? Now we are almost 50%. Okay? Now, how to use this rating, right, is you have to get what you call the EPD. This is Environmental Product Declaration. This is really international standards where you are audited, they audit your process, and they give you this certificate. That is what you call Environmental Product Declaration. Therefore, today in Sri Lanka, 100% of our portfolio cement got the EPD. Right? Got the EPD. Therefore, there is no incentive for us, as I said. But it is also a mindset we need to develop. And as I said, our footprint today is at a D for cement. Therefore, we are really very good in class when we compare to several countries. Now, the same for concrete. There will be a grading depending to the strength class of your concrete, starting from 20 megapascal to almost 50 megapascal. Therefore, here again, you need to have your EPD for concrete, that we got it. We got the EPD for our portfolio in Nugegoda. This is our ready-mix plant. And we have delivered already in 2021 over 30,000 cubic meters with a footprint that is around 231 kilogram per cubic meter. What does mean? That means today we are even at the C level, right? We are really going toward the AA. Therefore, here again, we are really proud to say that we have solution in Sri Lanka to, to give a green product. That's why, you know, how this is happening. You know, we have inaugurated in 2019 what you call the I2I. That is a competence center, a collaboration space to engage with different stakeholders and to enable really effective collaboration, openness, speed, connectivity that we don't want now on when I need to test something, I send it to Singapore or I send it to UK. You know, we have to do it locally, and therefore that's now we can do it locally in Sri Lanka, where we are having a state-of-the-art equipment. Therefore, to conclude, what we believe that there is a growing relevance. Therefore, sustainability awareness increase in Southeast Asia. Second, EPD will become a key differentiator for companies positioning themselves as sustainable. As an opportunity, the first mover advantage adaptation allow companies to establish credibility. Therefore, how to stay credible and accountable. And at the same time, there is some drivers like LEED green certificate, like BREEAM. They have a lot of green certificate that will really support this, this initiative. But of course, there is some challenges, right? Challenges will be low regulatory pressure, and also mandatory reporting on LCA and PD is rare. Nobody will ask very often about it. Okay, thank you so much. As you can see, in Sri Lanka, we have our carbon net zero 2050 roadmap and strategic plan. Therefore, I invite all of you to really take it and read it and to support the country really to fulfill our commitment. And again, fulfilling our commitment is make the country fit for the purpose of sustainability. That is really important. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those insightful words, sir. We would like to honor you with a token of appreciation. And for this, I would like to invite Dr. Chamila Dias, Program Chair, and Mr. W.D. Manoj, Organizing Committee Chair, to do the honors.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, we have a few certificates to be given away to the best paper presenters of each track comprising this year's conference. And to give away these certificates, let me most cordially invite the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, the Joint Conference Chairpersons, Professor Banduni Atapattu and Professor Jagat Manatunga. And to give away the first set of certificates, let me invite Dr. Nobu Wangchuk. These certificates will be given away to the best papers of this year's conference, representing the different tracks. May I have the presentation party joining us? May I also invite Dr. LSK Udugama, Dean Faculty of Engineering, to join us for the presentation party. And to receive the first certificate for the best paper in the Plastic Pollution and Health Impact track, the paper titled Effect of Regional Water on Microplastic Release from Tea Bags in Sri Lanka, Ms. Sanduni Pereira. Sanduni Pereira represents the University of Sabaragamo. And next up is the best paper in the policy and the best paper in the track Plastic Pollution and Health Impact, ladies and gentlemen, that just received the certificate, is co-authored by Sanduni Pereira, Tilini Kananke, Hasinta Wijayasekara, Kushani Mahatantila, Sammani Ramanayaka, Sashini Gunaratna, Praveen Abhishek, and Anushka Rajapaksa, and is titled Effect of Regional Water on Microplastic Release from Tea Bags in Sri Lanka. May we have another round of applause for these authors. And up next is the best paper in both the tracks of Policy and Regulatory Framework for Waste Management and Public Awareness and Educational Initiatives. The best paper in both the tracks, Plastic Pollution and Protecting the Right to a Clean and Healthy Environment in Sri Lanka, authored by Danushka Manoj. Up next, the best paper in the Technological Innovations in Sustainable Environment track for the paper titled Performance Evaluation of Glass Fiber Reinforced Pervious Concrete for Urban Infrastructure, co-authored by Vinita Patinayaka, Shashika Premachandra, and Isuru Vijayawardena. May I invite Dr. Isuru Vijayawardena to receive the certificate. I'd like to thank Dr. Nobu for joining the presentation party and would like to now invite Professor Wang Yahweh to join us in the presentation party along with the other dignitaries. The best paper in the AI and Smart Technologies for Monitoring and Restoring Ecosystem Health track is awarded to the paper titled Plastic Waste Leakage in Urban River Basins of Sri Lanka, a Geospatial and Machine Learning Perspective, co-authored by Kasun Arattanage, Pasindu Premachandra, Kirushika Jayachandran, Tilini Madhushika, Isuri Subasingha, and Nalin Vanigasuriya. May I have Mr. Kasun Arattanage to receive the certificates. And in the final track, we have two best papers, the track being Climate Action, Computational Modeling, and Environmental Sustainability. The first best paper, or the joint best paper, is awarded to the paper titled Bias Correction of GCM Simulated Rainfall Data for Sri Lanka Using Statistical Methods Across Different Climatic Zones and Seasonal Regimes, co-authored by A.S. Iresh, BCL Atapattu, WCDK Fernando, and Jayanta Obe Sekara. May I invite Engineer A.D.S. Iresh to receive the certificate. And the joint best paper in the same track, that is Climate Action, Computational Modeling, and Environmental Sustainability, is awarded to the paper titled Designing a Wildlife Crossing Structure to Mitigate the Impacts of Central Expressway Stage 4, Kurunegala to Dambulla, co-authored by Damit Akalanka, Sivaperuman Himanujan, Saminda Fernando, and Banduni Atapattu, may I invite Mr. Damit Akalanka to receive the certificate. Many congratulations once again to all the best paper winners, and thank you very much to the presentation party for joining with the awarding of certificates. We now direct your attention to the LED screen for a short message from our sponsors.
Life is limitless. From the smallest seed to the gentlest giant, to everything in between. Today's world knows no limits. So why should we? From our first steps and beyond, we are unlocking our potential. The potential to grow. The potential to thrive. The potential to love. The potential to change our lives. And the lives of those around us. The potential to make decisions that can transform your community, your country, or the world. The potential to be limitless. To be truly limitless is to be strong, to remain resilient. We are a force that propels you, a force that drives you to greatness. A force that gives you the strength you need to be limitless. Our dynamic technology helps you thrive in today's boundaryless world. Wherever you are, we are there too, to bring joy to banking, to break boundaries. To be limitless, you need someone who can walk with you. To be limitless, you need the power to unlock your potential. HNB's legacy is one of pride. We are proud to be among the top 1,000 world banks as recognized by Banker magazine. HNB also proudly holds many other titles of excellence, including that of Best Retail Bank in Sri Lanka by the Asian Banker, the Best Corporate Citizen by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, and the Best SME Bank by Asia Money. As a testament to the power of adaptability, HNB stands tall among one of top 5 corporates by Business Today. Outside of business, we are focused on building a better world, a better society, a society that can be limitless. To be limitless, you need a partner you can trust. For more than a century, HNB has redefined banking and brought smiles to Sri Lankan faces. Take that first step to being limitless. Find joy in being limitless with HNB. HNB. Since 2003, INSEE EcoCycle has been at the forefront of waste management innovation, offering global expertise and local sustainability solutions to manage a wide spectrum of industrial waste and set industry standards, while paving the way for Sri Lanka's transformation towards a circular economy. Our operations span 4 cutting-edge facilities in Katunaga, Puttlam, Malvana and Sabgaskanda. These facilities are recognized by government bodies such as the Central Environmental Authority and several others, with licenses to collect, transport, process, and safely eliminate hazardous and non-hazardous waste. We provide a multitude of services, including waste profiling, hazardous and non-hazardous industrial waste management, which covers solids, liquids and sludges, resource recovery from industrial and post-consumer waste, sorted municipal solid waste management, waste supply chain services, e-waste management, waste logistics, pyrolysis, environmental services, analytical laboratory services, training and consultancy, emergency services, and many more. We do it all so you don't have to. And all our operations comply with multiple ISO standards to ensure seamless quality, safety, environmental protection, and transparency. We are the only organization equipped to undertake co-processing in Sri Lanka, developed according to the GIZ guidelines endorsed by the European Union, Stockholm Convention, and the United States Environmental Protection Agency. And we currently extend our services to over 1,000 large multinationals, domestic conglomerates, and multiple government institutes. However, our mission transcends business. We are dedicated to making a meaningful impact on local communities and the environment. By collaborating with regulatory bodies and government authorities, we address critical waste issues impacting our society today. Join us on our journey to make unwasted the everyday norm and to live in a world that truly wastes nothing. INSEE EcoCycle, because tomorrow matters.
A massive thank you to our platinum sponsors, HNB and INSEE. Also, we would like to give a shout out to our other sponsors, SACEP, South Asia Cooperative Environment Program, the Police Project, the Center for International Forestry Research, Olu Tropical Water, Waste to Value Private Limited, NERDS, and ICPES Foundation. Can we give them a round of applause to show our appreciation? Thank you. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the ICPES Foundation and Olu Tropical Water for their sponsoring of the tokens of appreciation and the goodie bags presented to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again to all our sponsors. And ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to proceed to the next keynote address scheduled for today, which will be delivered by Vijayapala Sinnathambi, and it is my duty to give a brief introduction to our keynote speaker. Vijayapala Sinnathambi is a seasoned development professional with over 2 decades of experience in international program management and sustainable development across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. He currently serves as the country team leader at UNOPS, and he brings an extensive expertise in managing complex, multi-stakeholder initiatives focused on environmental sustainability, public health, and social development. His career spans leadership roles at prominent international organizations, including the UNICEF, UNDP, PATH, British Council, and the International Water Management Institute. His notable achievements include successfully turning around the EU-funded Strengthening Reconciliation Processes project in Sri Lanka, where he increased the performance from 30% to over 100%, and leading the innovative Plastic-Free Rivers and Seas for South Asia project to combat marine plastic pollution. Vijayapala holds a PhD in Sustainable Business Models for Municipal Solid Waste Composting from the University of Moratuwa and is currently pursuing a Doctor of Business Administration at the University of Colombo. His academic credentials also include an MBA and specialized training in development studies and public policy. Vijayapala Sinnathambi's vast academic and professional experience has demonstrated expertise as a recognized leader in sustainable development and environmental management in South Asia. Gives us immense pleasure to most cordially invite him to deliver the keynote address for today.
Thank you very much for the challenge of introduction about me. Now I'll start here in the morning and may end up in the afternoon. So it's a change. I'm not going to present any slides here. I'll talk something from my practical experience since I'm a passionate leader in this plastic industry. To start this one, distinguished Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, respected conference organizers, esteemed researchers, policymakers, industry leaders, and colleagues from all around the world. Good morning. It is both honor and privilege to deliver this keynote address at this international conference on plastic innovations and environmental sustainability, that is ICPES 2025. Today, we gather not only as a academic and the practitioners, but also as a custodians of our planet's future. Plastics, once hailed as the miracle material of the 20th century, now have become one of the defining challenges of the 21st century. The reason why I'm saying is plastic is invented as an innovative product in the past. Now it's a challenge or challenging product. Now we are talking about that one even today. This conference theme, Eco-Driven Innovations, Advancing Plastic, Circular Economy, and Climate Action for Sustainable Future, is a timely call of action urging us to rethink, redesign, and rebuild how we produce, use, and manage plastic within the framework of the sustainability. Globally, over 400 millions of plastics are produced each year. And yet less than 10% is effectively recycled. Recycling is one of the core topic, and we can talk further on this one. Much of it end up in oceans, landfills, and even food that we consume. Recent research, not defined, but research has identified microplastics in human blood, lungs, and even placental tissues. This raises profound questions not only about environmental sustainability, but also about human health and well-being. Across the world, nations are experimenting and innovative approaches to regulation and circularity. The European Union's Green Deal sets ambitious targets for plastic-free circular economy by 2050. Kenya, Rwanda, and India have pioneered strict bans on the single use of plastic. Even in Sri Lanka, also we have a policy that banning single-use plastics, setting example for other nations to follow. Most significantly, on the ongoing negotiation for United Nations Plastic Treaty represents the first global attempt to collectively address plastic pollution across its full life cycle. Yet, despite these advances, plastic remains deeply embedded in a global value chain, from medical devices to renewable energy technologies. Elimination is unrealistic. You all know well, researchers and practitioners. But what we require instead be eco-driven innovations that reconcile economic growth with ecological balance. In Sri Lanka, as a small island nation, it's uniquely vulnerable to the dual threats of plastic pollution and climate change. Colombo and our coastal towns face numerous challenges with the plastic leakage into waterways and the Indian Ocean, while island areas continue grapple with the unregulated dumping that threatens communities and the wildlife alike. A 2023 study estimated that the Sri Lanka generates 1.6 million tons of plastic waste annually, with a significant portion leaking into the marine ecosystem. However, Sri Lanka has not remained passive. In the recent years, measures such as ban on single-use plastics in 2021 strengthened extended producer responsibility, that's EPR regulations, and the greater collaboration with the grassroots waste collectors and the recycling SMEs have taken, and greater collaboration with the grassroots sectors. Also, most importantly, Sri Lanka, in showing signs of leadership in circular entrepreneurship, SMEs are creating innovative products by transforming waste plastics into textiles, building materials that we heard in the previous presentation, and the recycled consumer goods. With our strategic locations in the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka has the potential to emerge as a regional hub for sustainable plastic recycling and the innovation. That is one of the topics my next research on. If we leverage both our traditional practices of community resilience and the promise of new technologies. Allow me now to reflect briefly on the 8 conference tracks of the ICPES, that's 25 that we are talking here. They are not academic themes, but pillars of systematic transformation. The first track, plastic pollution and the health impacts, demands that the scientific evidence of microplastics in Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's ecosystem, demands that ecosystem be linked directly with the policy decisions in the fisheries and the tourism, which are the two emerging sectors that is emerging in Sri Lanka. The second, circular economy approaches emphasis our urgent needs to transition from the linear model of take, make, dispose model to a circular model that is reduce, reuse, and the recycle paradigm, particularly through community-based solutions. The third alternative for the plastic pushes us to expose bio-based polymers, seaweed-derived materials, and the compostable packaging. Through we remain unrealistic about issues of the scalability and the affordability in developing context. The fourth, the policy and the regulatory frameworks, most important one that is needed to frame us, remains that the strong regulations, as seen in the Europe Circular Plastic Alliance, can inspire Sri Lanka through enforcement and inclusive stakeholder engagement remain essential. The fifth track, technological innovations and the blockchain-enabled supply chains. These innovations can be localized through Sri Lanka's universities and startups. And the key topics that we have to think and start work on this one. The sixth track, AI and the smart technologies, is particularly existing with the drones and now monitoring marine debris and the AI models practicing hotspots for waste leakage. The seventh, climate action and the computational modeling sheds lights on the plastic climate nexus. Every tons of plastic avoided reduced greenhouse gas emissions by nearly 3 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And finally, the eighth track, the public awareness and the education, most important part, because behavior change communication is most important. That's like he said, the mindset that we have to create. In Sri Lanka, it's a strong educational traditions and the grassroots community networks has the capacity to drive cultural transformation on this front. Looking ahead, I proposed 3 synergies pathways. First, global-local integration. We must adapt international best practices into local realities. For example, Sri Lanka's micro enterprises could connect with the global funding sources for circular entrepreneurship. That is one of the activities we also initiating in Sri Lanka. Second, cross-sector collaboration. Universities, government agencies, and industries must co-create solutions because innovations cannot thrive on silos. That means the private-public partnership. And third, youth and grassroots leadership. Our young people who both are most affected and the most innovative, like you, the young researchers, need to be empowered with resources, platforms, and recognition. ICPES 25 is not just a platform for sharing your knowledge. It must be a launch pad for a real-world partnerships with the discussions here, rippling on outward into policy briefs, industry standards, and the community actions. Friends, the story of plastic is, in many ways, the story of humanity itself. That's, we have to take it by heart. Invention, convenience, overuse, now responsibility. The challenge before us is not demonize plastics, but reimagine their role in a sustainable future. If we succeed in Sri Lanka, and indeed in very conference, we will be remembered as a beacon of eco-driven innovations for the world. Let us therefore work together across borders and across disciplines to transform plastics from pollutants into catalysts for circularity innovations and the climate action. Before I wind my speech, I just wanted to share my next research topic on this one: circular entrepreneurship and the open innovation in Sri Lanka's plastic recycling industry. Navigating institutional resources and the resource constraint in an emerging economy is the area which is my passionate area. With this one, thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Sir, for your presence and invaluable contribution today, we would like to present you with a token of appreciation. And for this, I kindly invite Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Dr. L.S.K. Udugama, the Dean, the Faculty of Engineering Technology, and Engineer Kamala Gunawardana, the Vice President of the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka.
May I humbly request the presentation party to kindly remain with us, and we'd once again like to extend our gratitude to our keynote speaker, Vijaypala Sinnathambi, for those insightful words. I'd like to request the presentation party to kindly remain with us, as we have a few more tokens of appreciation to be given away. Let me now most cordially invite the joint conference co-chairpersons to receive their tokens of appreciation. They have been on the presentation party side for all this time. Now it's our time to appreciate their services and for their leadership in bringing together the second international conference on plastics innovations and environmental sustainability. So to receive the first token of appreciation, let me most cordially invite the joint conference chairperson, Professor Banduni Atapattu. May I now invite Joint Conference Chairperson Professor Jagat Manatunga to come forward to receive his token of appreciation. To receive the next token of appreciation, let me invite the Joint Conference Secretary, Engineer Zina Veerabangsa. And the next token of appreciation to the Joint Conference Secretary, Engineer S. Himanujan. Thank you very much. Thank you to the presentation party for joining with us for the presentation of tokens of appreciation, and of course, a salute and appreciation to the Joint Conference Chairpersons and the Joint Conference Secretaries for making sure that the second international conference on plastics innovation and environmental sustainability was organized in this manner and magnitude. Thank you very much once again.
Whether we like it or not, all good things must come to an end. And so, is the time for this event to come to an end. But before closing, we have Dr. Chamila Dias, Program Chair, to deliver the closing remarks of this inaugural ceremony. Over to you.
A very good afternoon to all of you, distinguished guests, colleagues, and all the participants. As we draw the inauguration session of Second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations, and Environmental Sustainability, ICPES 2025, Eco-Driven Innovations, Advancing Plastics, Circular Economy, and Climate Action for Sustainable Future, to a close, I'm filled with gratitude and optimism. First, I want to acknowledge and thank our honored guests whose presence has elevated this gathering. Our chief guest, Senior Professor P.M. Tilakaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka. Our honorary chief guest, Dr. Nobu Wangju, Director General of South Asia Corporate Environment Program. In absentia, our honorary guest, Engineer Grani Jailat, President of Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, and Vice President Engineer Kamala Guruvardhana. Our guest of honor, Professor Wang Yawi, Director of the Office of Overseas Center for Environmental Science and Technology Cooperation, Chinese Academy of Science. And our keynote speakers, Dr. Vijaypala Sinnathambi and Dr. Musa Balbiki. Thank you all for sharing your wisdom, your research, and your passion. Deans of all 6 faculties of the Open University of Sri Lanka and all the academics and the deans participating from University of Maratua and the registrar and the bursar of the Open University of Sri Lanka for attending today. I extend deep thanks to our sponsors whose kindness underpinned much of what we have achieved today. Hatton National Bank, our platinum sponsor, with special thanks to Mr. Hemanta Senaviratne and Ms. Yashodhya Vindyani for their leadership in sustainable business and environmental and social risk management. Our platinum sponsor, INSI EcoCycle, represented by Ms. Shereen Fernando, Engineer Rushantha Chandrabose and his team from the Waste to Value Private Limited, ICPES Foundation, for sponsoring the certificates and tokens of appreciation. Liquid Island Private Limited, Water, for the gift packs and tokens of appreciation. Engineer Hansa de Soisa, representing Nerds Against Odds, NETOS, and Multitech Solutions Private Limited. Please Projects for sponsoring the duffel bags, and Center for International Forestry Research, represented by Dr. Prasad Senadira. Thanks to all our collaborators, University of Maratua, Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, and the Central Environmental Authority for their partnership in hosting this event. And to our media partners, Independent Television Network and Sri Lanka Rupahini Corporation, SETMI, for helping us to share this dialogue more broadly. Professor Jagat Manatunga, Professor B.C.L. Atapattu, the joint conference chairs, all the conference co-chairs, session chairs, members of organizing committee, and all of you whose names I have not mentioned. Thank you sincerely for your tireless dedication and continuous efforts that made this conference a success. To all the resource persons of panel discussions, presenters, participants, and those who may contribute behind the scenes, your research, questions, discussions in the parallel sessions, and also the networking will bring life to the theme of ICPES 2025. Whether in plastic pollution and health impacts, or circular economy approaches, technological innovations, or policy and regulatory frameworks, the range of tracks showcase both the scale of challenges and the ingenuity of the solutions. So as we conclude the inauguration session, let us not consider this as an ending, but rather a launching point. May the ideas we share here in these 2 days lead to concrete actions in our work, collaborations across the institutions, and new commitments towards a sustainable future. The pages of tomorrow are ready for what we choose to write. Thank you all for being part of ICPES 2025. So stay inspired, and I look forward to seeing the ripple effects of what we have shown here. So with that note, I officially declare that the inauguration session of ICPES 2025 is closed, and great day wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chamila Dias, for delivering the closing remarks of this inauguration ceremony. And ladies and gentlemen, thus we officially mark the conclusion of the inauguration ceremony of the Second International Conference on Plastics, Innovations and Sustainable Development 2025. We invite you to join us for lunch and also for the panel discussion, which will shortly follow lunch. Thereafter, we invite you to stay over for both the panel discussions and to gain experience, share your knowledge, and we do sincerely hope that all of you have a very productive conference in the days to come.
Thank you for being an incredible audience, and we'll see you at the panel discussions. Thank you.